I am not letting you step out of this house in the name of getting a job.
You can't stop me! I am so sorry, Minho. Please forgive me. I got married over here in Seoul, and I now live in my husband's house.
I'm sure that even your dad would agree that you are a whore when he gets to see this video.
Whispers through the banyan leaves, 1,000 lives in every breeze. Drums that pulse, they softly tease. Time folds the stories we echoes rise, they call us near through shadowed past. The path is clear. Legend tales the heart can hear. A world reborn in every tear.
Moona came out of the room feeling very self-conscious. The heels were so high that walking was more or less a chore. When Kim Junseo saw her, he smiled and said, "Perfect. You look so beautiful, my lovely wife." Moona ignored the mockery in his voice, as she just wanted to get this night over with. As she waited for Kim Junseo to pay the makeup artist, she fidgeted with her phone anxiously. When the lady had gone, Kim Junseo snatched the phone from Moona's hands while saying, "You won't be needing this tonight, princess." He took the phone into her room and threw it on the bed before escorting her out. Acting like a gentleman, he opened the door of the car for Moona and let her into the passenger seat while he took hold of the wheels and drove off. On their way to the club, Moona kept looking at him, wondering what exactly he wanted to do to her. Was he planning to have sex with her at the club? She cringed at the thought and hoped that it wasn't anything of that nature. When they finally got to the club, Kim Junseo opened the door of the car for Moona and held her hand as he led her inside. Moona felt more uncomfortable as Kim Junseo kept going inside. The club was excessively wild. There were people smoking all types of things, and as they passed by a corridor, there were different groups of people having sex along the way. Moona's heart began to race and her face turned white due to fear. He finally led her into a room filled with a lot of people. He went over to where a group of men who seemed like his friends were sitting and beckoned on her to come closer. He sat down with them but asked Moona to keep standing. He opened 2 bottles of the wines on the table and handed them to her, saying, "Your duty is to serve us drinks tonight, so just stand quietly by the side. Hold the 2 bottles in your hands and refill our cups whenever you notice they are empty." Moona felt really insulted. She, the best graduating student in one of the most prestigious colleges, was reduced to such a lowly level and she couldn't even fight back or say no. She stood with the bottles of wine in both hands while Kim Junseo talked and laughed with his friends. After a while, 2 girls with heavy but cheeks and G-strings that were almost invisible came into the room. They slowly made their way to where Kim Junseo was seated, while attracting a lot of attention and sat on Kim Junseo's laps. They both sat, one on each side, and occasionally took turns grinding on him while making lewd sounds. Moona completely ignored them and continued holding the bottles. Meanwhile, Kim Junseo kept stealing glances at Moona in a bid to read her expression. After a while, he realized she didn't care about what he was doing and sent the girls away. Both he and his friends took turns stretching out their glasses for Moona to refill them, and she did so without complaining. Kim Junseo became annoyed that Moona wasn't suffering as much as he had hoped. Though she succeeded in hiding it, Moona was feeling extremely ashamed and uncomfortable. She was getting a lot of lustful stares from the men in the room and couldn't wait for the night to be over. Kim Junseo suddenly had an idea. He took out his phone, recorded a video of Moona without her knowledge, and sent it to her father. Incidentally, Moona's mother, Grace Anthony Jackson, was with her husband's phone when the video was received. Without knowing the content, she opened the video but closed it almost immediately. She was shocked when she saw what her daughter had been reduced to. She quickly deleted the video and tried to control her emotions so her husband would not find out. She knew that Kim Junseo's motive for sending the video was to cause the both of them pain, especially her husband. Her husband, Anthony Jackson, noticed her facial expression and asked her if she was okay. She lied that she was and slowly walked into the bathroom. When she was alone, she wept bitterly. After crying, she called Moona's line so many times, but there was no reply. In the end, she washed her face and convinced herself that Muna was strong and would find a way out of her situation. Muna didn't know how long she had been standing for. The pain in her feet was becoming unbearable. Just as she was thinking about taking the shoes off, one of the disgusting men who had been staring at her lustfully walked up to her. Kim Junseo observed the man as he made his way to Muna and felt very happy. The man stood directly in front of Muna while staring at her. After a while, he started talking. Muna instinctively held her breath as the man reeked of alcohol and tobacco. The man kept telling her that she was so beautiful and he'd fallen in love with her while Muna moved a step back and ignored him. Muna kept staring at Kim Junseo to see if he would interfere, but he did not. When the man noticed the direction of her gaze, he immediately apologized to Kim Junseo, saying, "I'm so sorry, sir. I didn't know she was your woman." Kim Junseo laughed loudly and said, "Nah, she ain't my woman. She is nothing but a whore. You can have her if you want, compliments of the house." Muna struggled to control her anger, which was slowly rising. Kim Junseo had described her as a whore in her presence. As if that was not bad enough, he was pimping her out on a silver platter to this wanton stranger. Muna was so angry that her eyes stung from the tears she tried to inhibit. She made a promise to herself that she would pay Kim Junseo back, even if it was the last thing she did. The man whom Kim Junseo had offered Muna to could not believe his ears. He expressed his appreciation by thanking Kim Junseo and showering him with praises. The more he stared at Muna's dark skin and beautiful face, the more he was enthralled. "I'm going to enjoy you so much, baby," he said as he walked much closer to her and grabbed her butt cheeks. Muna smashed one of the bottles she was holding on the man's head, drawing blood immediately. As Kim Junseo stood up to interfere, she threw the other bottle at him. He instinctively protected his face with his arm. The bottle shattered on his arm and he started bleeding as well. Without waiting to see the result of her actions, Muna took to her heels and ran out of the room. She felt very uncomfortable as the skimpy gown she wore was skin-tight and the sandals were too high. She stopped by a corner in the club, took off her shoes, and wiped the lipstick off her lips. She knew that people were surely going to mistake her for a whore, and that broke her heart. She regretted not bringing her phone along. It all made sense now. Kim Junseo had deliberately taken her phone so she would be stranded and not be able to call for a cab. Well, she was not going to let him have his way. She approached a guy who seemed decent in the club and asked if she could borrow his phone to make a call. The guy stared at her lustfully and instead asked her how much she wanted to charge for a night. She sighed in frustration and walked away from him. She was thinking of the next person to approach when she saw Kim Junseo and some of his friends coming through the corridor. She quickly evaded them and ran outside the club. It had begun to rain and the sky was getting darker. Muna could already feel the chills on her skin, but she feared that if she dallied, she might end up in a rascal's bed. She braved the rain and hit the road, ignoring the fact that she was cold. Kim Junseo's house was a tower walk from the club. Fearing that she might be waylaid if she walked, she slowly started to run, while thanking her stars that she was a little bit athletic. While she ran, a few drivers stopped their cars and tried to offer her a lift, but Muna politely declined. From the way they looked at her, Muna could tell what they were thinking, and she was not prepared to put herself in harm's way. After running for a while, she felt tired and was forced to stop. She was completely drenched and wanted nothing more than to take a hot shower. She suddenly noticed Kim Junseo's car driving by and, out of desperation, signaled for him to stop and pick her up. Kim Junseo slowed down and waited for Muna to get closer to the car. However, when she stretched out her hand to open the door, he drove off and left her there on the road. Left with no other choice, Muna continued running under the rain while seriously panting for breath. She still held the shoes in her hands and heaved a sigh of relief when she finally got to the entrance of the estate. The security men at first thought she was a prostitute because of the way she was dressed, but she reminded them that she had accompanied Kim Junseo in his car when he drove out earlier and that she was his wife. She urged the security men to check the footage from the gate's cameras. When they had confirmed that she was telling the truth, the security men let her in. Having exhausted all her strength, she walked slowly while shivering until she got to Kim Junseo's house. She knew he was home because the lights were on and his car was parked outside. She knocked repeatedly on the door, but Kim Junseo refused to open the door. She faintly heard his voice and walked over to the window. She repeatedly told him to open the door for her, but he made a sign by tapping his finger inside his ear to indicate that he could not hear her. After that, he closed the blinds and went back inside the house. Muna knocked on the door hysterically, but there was no response. It was more than evident that Kim Junseo wanted her to die from the cold. She sat by the door, circled her arms around her knees as she shivered and finally gave way to tears. Muna was woken up by the sound of the door opening. She had spent the night shivering outside until sleep finally overtook her. She stood up slowly and turned to face Kim Junseo, who was standing by the door. He stared at her disgustedly and said, "Get in quickly before people around will know that there's a cheap prostitute living in my house." Muna stared at him for a while without saying anything and quietly walked inside. As she passed by him, she noticed the deep cut on his arm. The blood had dried up and he didn't even bother to get it cleaned up. She told herself that he deserved it for what he did to her at the club. She felt really tired and her back ached from sitting in one position for too long. She quickly went into the bathroom, freshened up, and put on something decent. She picked up her phone, which Kim Junseo had thrown on the bed last night, and noticed that there were several missed calls from her mom. Muna quickly returned her mom's call. Her mom answered the call immediately it rang and worriedly asked, "How are you, my dear? I tried calling you throughout last night, but couldn't get through to you." Muna sighed sadly. "I'm so sorry, Mom. I am okay. Junseo and I went to the club last night and I left my phone at home. I had a lot to drink and was so out of it when I got home, so I was unable to check my phone until this morning." "That's all right," Muna's mom replied. She knew that Kim Junseo had tortured Muna last night, but she didn't say anything about it because she didn't want to make her uncomfortable. She went ahead and said, "Remember what I told you, Muna. If Junseo treats you badly, try to be the better person and show him kindness and love. He will eventually realize his mistakes and this misunderstanding between our families will be cleared up. This will also make your life with Junseo a lot better." When Muna ended the call, she thought about what her mom had said. How was she supposed to show him kindness when he was extremely mean and inhumane? She could not understand the satisfaction he derived from torturing her. After thinking for a while, she decided to bury the hatchet even though it was quite difficult to do. She took her first aid box from her bag and went out to the sitting room, but when she got there, she couldn't find Kim Junseo. She called out his name many times, but there was no reply. She wondered if he was in his bedroom and slowly made her way over there. When she got to his bedroom door, she knocked, but there was still no reply from him. She opened the door and went inside while still holding the first aid box. There were a lot of enlarged pictures on his bedroom wall. Muna saw the picture of a little girl who looked so much like Kim Junseo and knew that she was his late sister. She kept staring at the pictures on the wall and didn't realize when Kim Junseo came out from his bathroom. "What the hell are you doing in my bedroom?" Kim Junseo shouted in anger. Muna jumped out of fright and accidentally dropped the first aid box on the floor. She turned and noticed that Kim Junseo had just finished bathing since he had a towel tied around his waist. She decided to ignore the anger on his face and smiled before saying, "I am sorry for the injury I caused on your arm last night. Please let me clean up your wound and make it better." As she spoke, Muna quickly picked up the box from the floor, placed it on the bed, took out her gloves, and wore them on. Kim Junseo watched her without a word while still standing. When she took hold of his arm to examine the wound, he flung her hand from his arm and kicked the first aid box from his bed. Muna opened her eyes in surprise as the box and all its contents became scattered all over the floor. She looked up at him sadly and without saying another word bent down and began picking up the items one after the other. She didn't know what to do again. She had tried to foster peace between the both of them, but Kim Junseo didn't want that. Just as she finished putting all the items into the box, Kim Junseo said, "What a cheap whore. Do you think I don't know what you were trying to do? Pretending to care about my injuries is just a ploy to seduce me, but you won't succeed. You knew I was in the bathroom, yet you shamelessly barged into my room. I am not one of those useless men you throw yourself at. I have high standards. When you get back into your room, make use of the full-length mirror and take a good look at yourself before you get any foolish ideas. Now get out of my room and don't ever step your foot inside. Here again, you cheap whore." Muna stood up with the box and replied with gritted teeth, "Kim Junseo, I am not a whore, neither am I cheap. I am warning you, there is a limit to what I can tolerate." Kim Junseo scoffed, "What can you do? You claim you are not a whore, but I have a video here that proves otherwise. Would you like to see it?" Without waiting for an answer from her, he took out his phone and played the video he took of her last night. As he showed her the video, Moona opened her eyes in shock. She had no idea that Kim Junseo had taken a video of her yesterday. She looked at the despicable man before her as she tried to hold back her tears. Kim Junseo smirked and said, "I'm sure that even your dad would agree that you are a whore when he gets to see this video." Moona's tears fell uncontrollably as she kept staring at Kim Junseo. In the end, she ran out of his room with a first aid box in her hand while Kim Junseo laughed happily. When Moona got to her room, she laid under the quilt and covered herself with it. Her marriage to Kim Junseo hadn't even completed 2 days, and she was already exhausted. She decided that the best thing for her to do was to avoid Kim Junseo as much as possible. Henceforth, she will live as if she didn't exist in the house. She will immerse herself in so much work that Kim Junseo would not get the chance to even come close to her. She was done taking her mom's advice, and she was done trying to promote peace and showing him any form of kindness. She would behave herself, but if he tried to cross the line, she would show him a very crazy side to her. But right now, she was feeling very sad and lonely. She wished she could vent to someone, but Park Miho was the closest friend she had. It had already been more than 3 days. Was he still mad at her? She hadn't even told him about her marriage to Kim Junseo. Would he hate her if she told him the truth? She missed him so much and wondered if it was possible for them to get back together someday, when she had become free from Kim Junseo and this evil marriage. She eventually decided to make the call. Park Miho answered the call immediately. His phone rang because it was a Seoul number. He had tried to reach her unsuccessfully over the past few days. He had gone to her house, but couldn't find her, and none of their group of friends had any idea about her whereabouts. He suspected that she had gone back to Seoul, and that was the only reason why he didn't file a missing person complaint at the police station. Kim Junseo decided to stay home from work today because he wanted to trouble Moona. He sat in the living room for a while, thinking of ways to make her life more miserable. When he noticed that she wasn't coming out of her room, he walked over and stood by her door to peep in, but ended up overhearing her conversation with Park Miho. When he answered the call, Moona said, "Miho, it's me, Moona." Park Miho breathed a sigh of relief and replied, "Moona, my love, I've been so worried about you. I am so sorry about the things I said that night. I was being really childish, and I guess it's because I had too much to drink. I love you so much, Moona, and I miss you a lot. Please come back. I don't want to be apart from you anymore. I am very sorry." After listening to the things Park Miho said, Moona became emotional and began to cry. Park Miho wondered why she was crying and immediately began to console her. "Don't cry, my love. If there's anything you are sad about, you can always tell me. You know that I am willing to do anything for you." Moona felt even more guilty and said, "I am so sorry, Miho. Please forgive me. I got married over here in Seoul, and I now live in my husband's house." "What are you talking about? We had a disagreement just a few days ago, and you are already married to someone else." "No, Miho, it's not what you are thinking. I am not happily married. My life is so miserable right now that I wish I can just die and have peace of mind. Don't say such things, my love. Tell me why you got married, no matter what, as long as you want to. I will free you from that bondage. You remember that my parents couldn't come for my graduation. Contrary to what I thought, my dad's business had collapsed. He filed for bankruptcy and lost everything he had. He became paralyzed from stroke and was admitted to the hospital. It was so bad that my family didn't even have a place to sleep. All these things happened to my family because of an evil man called Kim Junseo. His mom and my mom were best of friends so many years ago, and he lost his parents and sister back then while I lost a brother. However, for reasons best known to him, Kim Junseo blames my family for the loss of his. When I got the news of what had happened to my family, I tried to call you, but I couldn't get through, so I boarded a flight and came back to Seoul. Seeing my once glamorous parents in such a condition completely broke me, Miho. Kim Junseo came while I was still at the hospital and said that if I got married to him, he would give everything back to my family. I knew that he wanted to torture me in a bid to get his revenge on my parents, but I didn't have any other choice at the time. I love my parents so much, and I was willing to sacrifice my happiness for theirs. I got married only yesterday, but I already feel like I've been living a miserable life for years. You shouldn't have gotten married to such a monster, Moona. You know that my family is very wealthy. I would have supported you with as much money as you needed. You should have told me. But how was I supposed to? I couldn't get through to you and I thought you didn't want me anymore. No, Muna, you are my life. How am I supposed to live without you? I'm coming to Seoul right away, and I will definitely take you away from that house. No, Miho. Please don't come here. Kim Junseo is really evil, and this is his territory. I can endure a lot of things, but if anything were to happen to you because of me, I won't be able to live anymore. I want you to know that I cherish all the memories we have, and I will do so for the rest of my life. I wish I was a better girlfriend to you, and I wish I had done more to make you happy. What I regret most is that I didn't give you what you wanted on the day of our graduation. I am very sorry for hurting you in any way, Miho. Please move on and find someone else. You are the best part of my life. I love you so much, and I always will. Park Miho tried his best to convince Muna to trust in him because he was going to fight for their love, but she refused and ended the call. Park Miho decided to take the next available flight to Seoul and immediately began making preparations. When Muna ended the call, she went back under the quilt and cried her heart out. Hearing her conversation and seeing her cry so much began to tug at Kim Junseo's heartstrings. He started to think about his actions toward her. Was he being unreasonable? He never knew that Muna had someone she was so much in love with. She had given up so much for her parents' happiness. As he walked back to his room, Kim Junseo slowly began to feel bad about how he had been treating Muna. He took out a box from under his bed and brought out the pictures that were inside. As he looked at the pictures, he recalled how he used to play with his little sister outside their garden. He also recalled what his uncle had told him. Michael Anthony Jackson deliberately pushed your heavily pregnant mother off the stairs and sent her to her death, and in order to cover up their son's crime, Mr. and Mrs. Anthony Jackson paid a truck driver to run over your dad and little sister. He recalled how he had last lost consciousness when he saw the smashed bodies of his father and sister. His body shook and his eyes became red. It was a memory he had struggled with for years. He had not been able to live a normal life since then and had spent his life amassing enough wealth in order to go after the Anthony Jackson family. No, he was not going to go soft on them. Not now and not ever. His late family deserved justice, and he was going to make sure they got it. Muna's parents did not have any mercy on his sister back then, so he wasn't going to show her any mercy either. With this new determination, Kim Junseo carefully put the pictures back into the box, returned the box to where it was before, and went back to the living room. After crying for a while, Muna began to feel hungry. She wanted to go out and eat, and also wanted to do something productive with her time. She took out her laptop and prepared her resume. She was going to get a job for the time being in order to keep herself busy and forget about her problems. After preparing everything she needed, she got dressed in formal outfits, wore a light makeup, and made her way out of the room. She decided that, rather than eating at a restaurant, she was going to stop by her parents' house and taste her mom's cooking, which she had missed for a while. After that, she would use the opportunity and ask her dad to recommend her for a job since he had good connections. When she came out of her room, she noticed Kim Junseo sitting on the couch and reading a newspaper. She ignored him and continued walking out without bothering to minimize the sound her heels made each time they struck the ground. Just when she was about opening the door, Kim Junseo held her by the arm and dragged her back. She stared at him angrily as he asked, "Where do you think you are going to?" Muna rolled her eyes, which had become puffy from crying too much, and said, "I'm going to get a job because I am not used to being idle." "That is not going to happen, princess. Your duty is to stay at home, clean the house, cook my meals, and do whatever the fuck I need you to do. If you need anything, I can provide it for you, but you are not allowed to work." Muna scoffed and said, "You must be sick in the head. I am not one of those clueless dumb women who are forced to stay home by their husbands. I am a graduate and the best one in my set. No one is going to confine me in this way. Not while I am still alive. Then you had better prepare yourself to die, because I am not letting you step out of this house in the name of getting a job." Muna ignored him and still tried to open the door. However, he grabbed her and pushed her against the wall. She felt a sharp pain when her back hit the wall and her eyes became misty once again. Kim Junseo pinned her to the wall and, looking into her eyes with so much hatred, said, "I can see that your fighting spirit is back. To be honest, I prefer this side of you because it's no fun when you are being weak and servile." Muna angrily bit his hand so hard that blood began to come out. In return, he snatched her phone, which she was holding, and shattered it on the floor. Muna stared at the parts of her phone in shock before pushing Kim Junseo away and running back to her room. She brushed her teeth again and sat down on her bed thinking of what to do. She was feeling very hungry, but didn't want to step her foot into Kim Junseo's kitchen. She searched for good restaurants using her laptop and ordered for pizza online. She paid and waited for it to arrive. Meanwhile, Kim Junseo went back to sit on the couch. He didn't bother to wash off the blood on the surface of his skin from Muna's bite. The doorbell rang and Muna knew that her pizza had arrived. She quickly came out of her room and opened the door before Kim Junseo could react. She opened the pizza box to ensure that it was the type she had ordered for and signed before taking it inside. Just as she turned with the pizza, she saw Kim Junseo standing in front of her. She noticed the blood on his arm and naturally felt the need to help him treat it, but when she recalled the things he had said to her the last time she tried to help him, she decided to mind her business. Ignoring him, she shifted to the side and tried to leave, but he blocked her path once again. Her anger slowly began to rise, but she struggled to rein it in. "What is wrong with you, Junseo? Listen, I do not want to fight. Kindly make room for me, I am very hungry." Kim Junseo stared at her patronizingly and said, "I know that your parents didn't teach you proper manners, and that's why you are a spoilt brat, but you have me now, so I will correct their mistake." Now, when a married woman is hungry, she doesn't order junk food, but gets into the kitchen and makes food for herself and her family. Muna scoffed and said, "You expect me to cook for you just as a proper wife would for her husband, according to you? But what makes you think you deserve such honor? I only cook for those who are special to me. You may have married me through despicable means, but you will always be nothing to me. You are absolutely nothing in my eyes. Kim Junseo. Now get out of my way." When she had finished speaking, Muna tried to shove Kim Junseo out of the way, but he grabbed the pizza box from her hands and scattered the pizza all over the floor. Muna finally lost it and shouted at the top of her voice, "What is your problem, you worthless sadist? What, you think picking on a harmless woman makes you a real man? You are nothing but a disgrace to men." "Bridle your tongue, Muna, before I lose it," Kim Junseo angrily warned, but Muna had become livid and out of control. "What are you going to do, Junseo? Hit me? Go ahead and do that. I'm sure you will finally get the deserving award of the most disgusting monster with a thing between his legs. Do you think your parents would be proud if they saw you right now? Is this your perfect idea of revenge? You blame my innocent parents for something they never did, but the truth is that you are worse than the criminals you make them out to be. I bet your sister would cringe if she could see what you have become. Do not talk about my sister, Muna. I am warning you." Kim Junseo began to shake as he tried to control his anger. "I will talk about your sister, and I can assure you that she will be utterly disgusted and disappointed that you are related to her." Kim Junseo screamed in anger and went towards the TV. He detached it from the wall and threw it on the floor, breaking its glass into pieces. Muna screamed in fright as she finally regained her senses. She ran into her room, locked the door, and sat on the floor. She cried and covered her ears as she heard Kim Junseo destroy most of the appliances in the living room. After a while, everywhere became calm. Then she heard the sound of Kim Junseo's car drive away and breathed a sigh of relief. Muna slowly opened her door and came out of the room. The living had become really messy as Kim Junseo had destroyed so many things. She chastised herself for entering into such a heated argument with Kim Junseo. She knew that talking about his family would trigger his anger, yet she went ahead and said those things to him. What if Kim Junseo had beaten her up or even killed her? She would have had herself to blame. Even if he went to jail for it, she wouldn't have come back to life. She noticed fresh drops of blood on the floor and realized that Kim Junseo may have injured himself some more or opened up his previous wound. She admitted to herself that her mother was right from the start. Kim Junseo had serious issues, and if she went head-to-head with him, she might end up losing her life. She was going to truly put up her white flag this time around and mean it. No matter how much Kim Junseo would maltreat or insult her, she won't react to him. She would win him over with kindness and tolerance, and one day, he would listen to her family's side of the story. They would forge a new peaceful relationship, and he would finally set her free. With this determination, Muna began to clean up the house. When she had put the living room in order once again, she went into the kitchen and cooked. She prepared rice and chicken sauce, ate to her heart's content, and left some for Kim Junseo. After a while, she searched for the piece of paper he had once given to her, which had his number. She dialed his number so many times with the landline, but he refused to pick up. She eventually left the house and went out to get a new phone for herself. When Muna came back, it was already getting dark. She thought that Kim Jun-seo would already be back and prepared a speech for him about trying to live together in peace, but she met the house the same way she had left it. She went back into her room and suddenly began to sneeze. She realized that she had caught a cold from running in the rain and sleeping outside. She had taken a few pills earlier in the day, but it seemed that it was more serious than she had thought. She quickly went out to a pharmacy and got more drugs for herself. Even when she came back, Kim Jun-seo was still not back. She felt he had probably decided to spend the night outside, so she locked the door and went into her room to retire for the night. She took her bath, and when she wanted to change into her nightwear, she realized that she only had the sexy lingerie which Park Mi-ho had gotten for her. She had packed her bags in a haste and didn't remember to take proper clothes. Anyways, when she left Seoul for the university, she hadn't bargained on marrying anyone, especially someone like Kim Jun-seo. In the end, she wore the sexy lingerie since she was going to be spending the night alone. She covered herself with the quilt and tried to personalize her new phone. Muna had slowly begun to fall asleep when she heard the landline in the living room ringing. Wondering if Kim Jun-seo had things to say to her, she went downstairs and answered the call. However, the person on the other end of the line was Kim Jun-seo's assistant. He said to her, "Mrs. Kim, please can you open the door? Mr. Kim is completely wasted, so I had to drive him home." Muna immediately looked outside the window and saw Kim Jun-seo's car parked outside. She opened the door and helped his assistant to bring him out of the car. The assistant apologized once again. "I'm sorry, ma'am. He had too much to drink and called me to drive him home. My car is parked just by the road because I had someone else drive behind me." Muna thanked him for bringing Kim Jun-seo safely home and asked him to help her move him to his bedroom. Once Kim Jun-seo had been laid on his bed, the assistant said goodnight to Muna and left. As she stared at him, Muna began to feel guilty. The things she had said to him affected him so much that he drank himself into a stupor. She could not bear the entire fault though, as he had spent the whole day goading her. She left him and went back to her room, but felt disturbed when she recalled the injuries on his arm. After much thought, she took her first aid box and went back into his room. She took off his shoes and contemplated taking off his shirt, but thought better of it. She didn't want him to haul outrageous accusations at her when he woke up. The last thing she needed was for him to accuse her of trying to take advantage of him in his inebriated state. She gently sterilized his wounds and cleaned them up before covering them with plasters. When she had covered his injuries, she turned to leave but noticed that his face was really pale. She knew that his head would be in a lot of pain when he woke up and decided to help him out. She went into the kitchen and made a herbal soup for him with some ingredients she had earlier noticed in the kitchen. When she got to his room, she helped him to sit up and began to feed him with a spoon. It was quite a chore for her as she found it difficult to get his mouth open. When she was done, she wanted to help him lie back, but realized his eyes were now open. He was staring at her strangely, and Muna wondered what was going through his mind. He reached out his hand and lightly caressed her cheekbone while saying, "Why do you look so beautiful and sexy?" Muna opened her eyes in surprise. He must be out of it for him to be saying, "I am beautiful," she thought to herself. Just when she wanted to stand up from the bed, he pulled her face closer and kissed her. Muna quickly pulled away and stood up from the bed. She stared at him angrily and wiped her lips with her hands in disgust. "You do not deserve even a little bit of my help," she said before stomping out of the room. When she entered her room, she locked the door and lay on the bed. Kim Jun-seo was such a jerk even when he wasn't in his right frame of mind. As she recalled the kiss once more, she got up from the bed, went into the bathroom, and brushed her teeth again. As she lay on her bed and covered herself with the quilt, she thought about the first time Park Mi-ho had confessed his feelings for her and asked her to be his girlfriend. She had been so shy back then, but was extremely happy because she already had a crush on him. She smiled happily as this sweet memory came to her, before closing her eyes and falling asleep. Kim Jun-seo opened his eyes when it was already morning. His neck was cramping up because he had slept uncomfortably. He briefly recalled his fight with Muna, the things she had said to him, how he had struggled to stop himself from strangling her to death, and eventually how he ended up drinking excessively at the bar. He became angry once again and thought that Muna certainly had a death wish, but he wasn't going to give her such an easy way out. He remembered calling his assistant just before he completely lost it and felt satisfied with himself that he had made such a good call. Otherwise, he wouldn't be home now and might probably have been robbed by the thugs at the bar since he didn't have his wits about him. Kim Janseo suddenly noticed a small plate lying just beside his bed. He picked it up and inspected it. As he smelled the herbal soup, he realized that Muna must have made it. Didn't she say that he didn't deserve to eat anything prepared by her? Anyways, he knew that the only reason why his stomach or head wasn't in any pain must be because of this soup. When he tried to get up from his bed, he noticed the plasters on his hand and shook his head. This girl was something else. She had come into his room once again despite his warning. Didn't she love herself? His hand felt better though, all thanks to her. Just as he was still thinking, he heard a knock on his door. He got up, opened it, and saw Muna standing with a plate of soup in her hands. She smiled at him and said, "Good morning, I brought you the second dose of my hangover soup. Once you have it, you will feel so much better." Kim Janseo stared at her face as she spoke and couldn't help but notice her beautiful skin. She was quite a lovely girl, he thought to himself. Realizing what was happening to him, he became upset and said, "Take it away, I don't want your soup. I feel a lot better, and for the umpteenth time, Muna, stop entering my room." Muna nodded her head and said, "I have served your breakfast on the dining table. You can have it now if you wish." Kim Janseo folded his arms as he smirked. "So you are now trying to be sensible, is that it? Didn't you say I was nothing and wasn't worthy of eating the food cooked by you?" Muna sighed and said, "I am very sorry about all the things I said yesterday, Janseo. They were born from anger and frustration. Please, kindly find it in your heart to forgive me." Muna knew that Kim Janseo had done worse things to her yesterday and was supposed to apologize to her, but she told herself that it didn't matter. She would make sure they both lived in peace no matter what happened. It took two to tango, so if she didn't react to Kim Janseo's deliberate provocations, they wouldn't have any reason to fight. Kim Janseo regarded her for a while and said, "As long as you realize your mistakes, I can find a way to forgive you. My taste is very high, so I hope you didn't cook rubbish." Muna stared at him for a while and smiled before saying, "I made rice and chicken sauce. I'm sure it's quite edible. Let me freshen up then. I will be there in a minute." Kim Janseo shut his door the moment he finished speaking. As he brushed his teeth, he wondered about Muna's actions. She had been so furious yesterday, and today she was playing the saint. If it weren't for the fact that she had fed him herbal soup yesterday and nothing happened to him, he would have suspected that she had poisoned the food on the dining table. After brushing his teeth and taking his bath, Kim Janseo changed into a new set of clothes. He wore a tight blue-colored t-shirt and a black shirt and came out of the room. Muna sat in the dining area waiting for him. When he came out of his room and began walking to the dining area, Muna involuntarily stared at him for a while. Blue was her favorite color, and seeing it look so good on Kim Janseo's body gave her a weird feeling. She bent her head down and looked at the plate before her when Kim Janseo made eye contact with her. He took out the chair that was facing her and sat down. Muna got up and dished some of the food into his plate before dishing out hers. He watched her carefully as she took her spoon and began to eat. When she tasted the food, she couldn't help feeling proud of herself. Although she had eaten it yesterday, it tasted a lot better today. It was surely a given because she had spent almost a year taking cooking classes at her college because Park Miho was a foodie, and cooking for him gave her so much happiness. Kim Janseo tasted the food without giving away any expression, and Muna sighed in relief when she saw him swallow the food. However, when he took the second spoon into his mouth, he spat out the food and screamed at the top of his voice, "What is the meaning of this? Are you trying to kill my taste buds with this rubbish?" Muna was shocked at first because she knew for a fact that the taste of the food was excellent, but then she remembered that Kim Janseo was deliberately trying to make her miserable, so she kept calm. She looked at him and apologized. "I am so sorry, Janseo. I sincerely thought you would like the food. Please let me cook something else for you. Just tell me what you would like to eat. Don't bother, I would rather starve." Kim Janseo said as he angrily stood up from the chair and began walking back into his room. When he got to his door, he stopped, turned towards Muna and said, "You are such a disgrace to womanhood. I deluded myself into believing that you would at least be able to do one thing right, but you proved yet again that you are nothing but a worthless, spoilt princess. Don't ever in your life try to make me eat anything that is cooked by you. Rubbish." Just as Kim Janseo opened his door, Muna ran after him and said, "Hold on, Janseo." He stopped and said, "What now?" Moona held his arm and said, I am very sorry that the food I cooked has such a bad taste. I promise to improve and take cooking classes if possible because, like you said before, it is my duty to cook for you. Kim Junseo flung Moona's hands from his arm, entered his room, and shut the door. He leaned against the door and quietly said to himself, Why are you being this way, Moona? You should fight back and challenge me. If you keep doing this, how am I supposed to carry out my revenge? Moona went back to the dining and continued eating her meal. She could not deny that the things Kim Junseo said to her really struck a nerve, but she meant it when she said she was going to conquer his hatred with kindness. Kim Junseo remained in his room. He didn't want to come out because he didn't know how to deal with this new Moona. Meanwhile, Moona cleared the dining table when she had finished eating and washed the plates before heading into her room. She had woken up early and taken her bath as well so she could cook for Kim Junseo. Now she felt bored as she didn't have anything else to do. She laid on her bed and tried to sleep when she heard someone ring the doorbell. She wasn't expecting anyone, so she knew it was certainly one of Kim Junseo's people. However, she shot up from her bed when she heard a familiar voice. Kim Junseo was reading inside his room when he heard the doorbell ringing. He quickly stood up and went to see who it was. When he opened his door, he stared at the person in surprise. This guy really had some balls coming to his house. He was certainly going to teach him a lesson. When he had eavesdropped on her conversation with her boyfriend, Kim Junseo had looked up Moona's pictures on her social media page. He had seen the picture of Park Miho and collected as much information as he could about him. He couldn't believe that Park Miho was bold enough to come to his house in search of his girlfriend. Weren't they madly in love? He was going to show Park Miho that he now owned Moona. Kim Junseo stared at Park Miho and pretended as if he didn't know him. Who are you and how may I help you? He asked. Park Miho had so much hatred for Kim Junseo. After everything Moona had told him, he had looked up Kim Junseo's pictures, sent them to a private investigator, and asked him to give him all the information on Kim Junseo, including his address, while he had boarded a plane directly to Seoul. He had spent the night in a hotel, and when he got Kim Junseo's information from the private investigator this morning, he had immediately gotten ready and located the place. He realized that Kim Junseo didn't know who he was and decided to use it to his advantage. My name is Park Miho, and I'm a good friend of Moona. We graduated from the same college, so I stopped by to say hi to her. Kim Junseo smiled and said, It's nice to meet you, Miho. Any friend of Moona is welcome to my house. Please come in. Just as Park Miho entered Kim Junseo's house, he saw Moona run out frantically from her room. He could clearly see the shock in her eyes, and they both stood, staring at each other. Park Miho was mesmerized by her beauty. He watched as her long, beautiful hair slowly fell by her sides and wanted nothing more than to envelope her in a warm embrace. This was the same face he had fallen in love with, but he could clearly see the sadness in her eyes. Her eyes also carried a sense of fear in them, and Park Miho wondered why. Moona felt different emotions as she stared at Park Miho. Love, happiness, sadness, but most importantly, fear. She was so afraid that Kim Junseo was going to hurt Park Miho. She wished she could hug or kiss Park Miho just once, but she knew that would be foolish. Why had Park Miho come here to look for her, despite everything she told him? Kim Junseo observed the way the two people in front of him stared at each other. He felt happy within when a plan suddenly came to his mind. He could clearly see the love Moona felt for Park Miho in her eyes and knew that what he wanted to do was going to make her really mad that she would lose her temper, which was exactly what he wanted. He walked straight to Moona and placed his hand around her waist as he said, Hey darling, your friend from college stopped by to greet you. Hi Moona, Park Miho said while smiling lovingly at Moona. Hi Miho, Moona managed to reply. She felt really uncomfortable as Kim Junseo's arm circled her small waist and his manly scent filled her nostrils. What was he trying to do now? Did he want to pretend before others that they were a happy couple? That was strange considering the fact that he never struck her as someone who cared that much about other people's opinions. Please sit down, he said politely to Park Miho. He held Moona's hand as he went to the wine cabinet and took out a bottle of wine with a glass cup. He opened the wine bottle, handed the glass to Park Miho, and poured the wine for him. Moona was standing by the side looking at Park Miho while her heart kept beating fast. Kim Junseo sat down on the couch opposite where Park Miho sat. He pulled Moona closer to him and made her sit on his laps while he circled her waist with his hands. Seeing that both Moona and Park Miho were quiet, Kim Junseo said to her, "Darling, your friend has come to visit you after a while. Why don't you try to catch up and ask him about what's been happening at college?" Moona couldn't bring herself to speak because Kim Junseo was busy rubbing his hands around her body. She felt really uncomfortable and wanted to get up, but he wouldn't let her. Park Miho realized what Kim Junseo was doing to Moona and began to feel angry. He dropped the glass of wine by the side and couldn't bear to take a sip from it. Kim Junseo smiled in satisfaction when he saw the effect his action had on Moona and Park Miho, but he was only getting started. He kept smiling at Park Miho while his hand traveled up and cupped Moona's brassiere. "So tell me, Miho, how did the both of you meet?" he asked while fondling her bosom as if it was the most natural thing to do. Moona held his hand with both of her hands and tried to pull it down from her bra, but she wasn't able to. She kept trying until he finally let go and dropped his hand down. However, just before Moona could breathe a sigh of relief, he placed his hand on the back of her head, pulled her closer, and kissed her lips. "Junseo." Park Miho shouted and stood up immediately, but Kim Junseo shouted back at him and said, "Shut up, Miho." Moona stood up and looked at Kim Junseo as tears fell from her eyes. She realized at this point that Kim Junseo knew everything from the beginning, but pretended to be ignorant of her relationship with Park Miho in order to humiliate her. Kim Junseo looked at Park Miho and said, "You have the nerve to look for your girlfriend in my house when she is already married to me? What right do you have to shout? Should I be cuckolded in my own house?" Moona finally managed to speak with tears in her eyes and said, "Junseo, you are really cruel." After speaking, she ran into her room and shut the door while Park Miho walked out of Kim Junseo's house in anger. Kim Junseo sat on his couch thinking about what had just happened. Moona's reaction had surprised him. He had expected her to slap him. That way it would be easier for him to torture her more, but she had ended up crying. Why was she always crying at the slightest provocation? Did she have a big river inside those eyes of hers? Moona laid on her bed and cried helplessly. When she recalled how Kim Junseo had touched different parts of her body, she ran into the bathroom, brushed her teeth, and took her bath once again before going back to bed. After thinking for a while, Moona dialed Park Miho's number. When he picked up, she said, "I am so sorry, Miho. I told you about the sort of person Kim Junseo is and asked you not to come here, but you still came. You know that I cannot bear to see you being treated badly, so please, go back and move on with your life. Someday we might meet again and end up together if we're destined to be. Moona, I do not regret coming to see you at all. Now I understand what you have been going through, and I promise you that I will free you from that marriage, even if it's the last thing I do." Just as Moona ended her call with Park Miho, Kim Junseo knocked on her door and said, "Moona, I have a business party to attend in the evening and want you to come with, so make sure you get ready when it's time. We leave by 6. Moona closed her eyes and said, "Not again." She knew from experience that going to a party with Kim Junseo meant trouble for her. She briefly recalled what happened the last time he took her to a club. He had offered her to a disgusting drunk as if she were a whore, made her come home under the rain and spend the night outside. Was he about to punish her again because Park Miho came to visit? But how was that any fault of hers? She had not fully recovered from the effects of being exposed to the rain, and now this. She began to feel anxious and it nauseated her. She touched her neck and realized that she was running a temperature. She wasn't in a condition to attend a party or be subjected to torture, so she decided to plead with Kim Junseo to go to the party without her. She went out to the living room and saw that he wasn't there, so she went to the door of his room, which was partially open, and was about to knock when she heard him talking on the phone and saying, "I'm so glad you are back. I've missed you so much, darling. See you at the party." She paused and thought, Kim Junseo had a woman he loved but still married her? His desire for revenge must be very strong. She had thought he wasn't capable of feeling such emotions, but he was human after all. This woman was apparently coming to the party, and Moona wondered if she was a nice person. If Kim Junseo was in love with this woman, she could become friends with her and get her to convince Kim Junseo to let her and her family go and forget about his meaningless revenge. Moona became so lost in thought that she did not notice when Kim Junseo got up from his bed and stood on the other side of his door. "Were you eavesdropping on my private conversation?" he asked in anger and opened the door of his room. Moona said, "No, Junseo, I wasn't. I came to speak to you but happened to overhear you talking on the phone. Junseo, you are married to me yet you are still keeping another woman outside." Kim Junseo was surprised. He thought Muna's question meant that having a woman outside bothered her. He was about to feel happy that he had found a new way to torture her when she disappointed him with her next words. Junseo, why not do the right thing and marry this woman? Let me go, and don't deprive yourself of spending your life with your love. Think about how happy the both of you would be together. Kim Junseo regarded her for a while and started to laugh. Muna stared at him in surprise, wondering what he found funny. After laughing, his expression became serious once again, and he said, "Shut up, Muna, and don't talk about things you know nothing about. Why are you wasting time here when you should be getting ready for the party?" Muna suddenly recalled why she had come to his room and said, "Please, Junseo, I don't feel well today, and my body is burning up. Kindly let me stay at home, and I promise to go with you the next time." Kim Junseo raised his eyebrows and said, "What? Were you under the misconception that I was asking you?" "Muna, I wasn't asking you to come with me to the party. I gave you an order, so you have no right to voice your opinions. Now go and get ready for the party and stop making silly excuses." Muna tried to reason with Kim Junseo, but he got into his room and slammed his door on her face. She sadly walked back to her room. Judging from Kim Junseo's reaction earlier, she knew that he definitely had something planned for her. Left with no other choice, she began to bring out the things she would need for the party. She knew that she needed to go to the hospital and get tested in order to be sure of what was happening to her. Kim Junseo would not permit her to leave now, so she had to endure until the following day. She took a few painkillers for the headache she was experiencing and began to dress up for the party. Muna wore a simple turquoise blue gown which was almost at knee length. She liked this gown especially because it was in the family of her favorite colors, and although it hugged her body and accentuated her petite frame, she still felt free inside it. She added a little blush to her cheeks, making it rosy, and applied a transparent gloss on her lips. As she looked at herself in the mirror, she recalled how Park Miho always told her that she had the most beautiful skin in the world and that he loved it whenever she let her hair loose. So, she let her long hair fall on her back and sides and wore a moderately high silver-colored sandal. After which, she took her silver purse with her phone in it and went out of the room. Kim Junseo had already left the house and was standing by his car, waiting impatiently for her. He was about to go in and lash out at her when she opened the door and came out. Kim Junseo stared at her as she locked the door and came out. He found himself mesmerized by her beautiful face. She smiled at him, revealing two lovely dimples on her oval childlike face. The bridge of her nose was shiny and perfectly curved. Kim Junseo couldn't deny that blue was good on her, and her long silky black hair, which fell by her sides, could make her perfectly pass for a half-little mermaid. Muna stopped walking when she saw the way Kim Junseo was staring at her. She could tell a lustful look when she saw one, and the last thing she wanted was for Kim Junseo to attempt intimacy with her. He hated her, so she knew it wasn't possible. But why did he keep on staring at her lustfully? She suddenly began to fear for her innocent body.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, like, share and comment below.